Alright guys, Hayzink here, welcome back to the channel for another Street Fighter Duel video. So we're going to be doing a tier list today of the DPS units in Street Fighter Duel, right? Now, some of you may notice this format, some of you may not. In case you don't know, go back, watch my last tier list video. All I've done is remove everyone from the tier list that isn't what I would consider to be a DPS. The positioning that you can see right now is where I previously had these units, and I'm going to just basically edit that a little bit and just have DPS units on here for a DPS tier list. The reason I'm doing it this way is because there is just so many units now, and to be honest, I feel like ranking DPS, support and tank units on the same tier list, it gives people the wrong impression, because if you don't need a tank, you know, seeing that a unit is currently sitting at the top rank but they're a tank, it's maybe not relevant to you and it slightly skews things a little bit. So I'm going to have a DPS tier list, tomorrow I'll have a tank tier list, then I'll have a support tier list in one of those orders. But I am using the format that I had previously. This is everyone's previous rankings. I'm going to do a very quick bit of housekeeping right now, moving about some of these people, because I've changed my mind on a few of them, and then we will put the unranked units on to the list, okay? So first of all, who do we need to move around, okay? Now, starting off, we are going to look at moving a couple of units, I want to say up, okay? And that is going to be Yun and Yang. Now, Yun and Yang, I would consider a unit that goes together, okay? You are going to see these two shine, absolutely shine when you run them together. If they're not run together, I probably wouldn't consider them to be A rank, okay? But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be talking about them together. So together, I would put them at A, I mean, maybe even S, but again, that's probably pushing it a little bit, so we'll leave them at A, and we'll be quite happy to have them there. They've also got some really good supports and stuff, but we won't talk about that in this video. I'm going to be moving Mummy Dalsim down. While Mummy Dalsim can be an okay unit, I don't really see a lot of people using them. I don't use them. I don't see a lot of benefit to using them. And to be completely honest, him being in the A tier is just wrong. Quite frankly, it is wrong, okay? Another unit I want to move is Jury. This is a personal preference of mine. I do not like her. I do not think that she does much. Sure, some people might like her. I don't. I just don't think she's a very good unit in my opinion. Dante, even though you cannot summon him anymore, I would put him down as well. Again, my opinion, I don't think he is a great unit. Doesn't see a lot of use, and yeah, he is honestly not a fantastic unit. Cammy, I would move up to A tier. Cammy is rock solid. I don't know why I slept on Cammy for so long. She is an absolutely fantastic unit that fully deserves to be an A tier easily. Great unit all day long. Samurabuki is a unit who, again, I think could be better. She has a trigger unit, which is obviously pretty good. I just don't rate her as highly as some other units. Let's just put it that way. I don't want to go too deep on it. I just don't rate her that highly, okay? Now, moving on, I am actually going to make a bold move here, and I am going to move Trendy Cammy down a tier into A tier. Why I had her in S tier, I am not sure. I do not think she is an S tier unit. I think at most she is an A unit, maybe A+, but I am going to do away with these little pluses. We're no longer going to convolute things with them. So there is no longer an A+, there is an A or an S. So I'm going to put her into the A tier, okay? Now, the rest of this I'm happy with. Bison is a bit of a funny one. He's in a DPS tier list. Some people would argue tank, so I may well put him. He might be one of the only units that appears in more than one tier list, okay? Now, another one, Blanca. Technically speaking, Blanca is a tank, but we all know Blanca is not a tank. He is a DPS unit, okay? I'm happy to keep him in this tier. Now, this tier is not created equally, okay? Just to be clear, this tier is not created equally. Some of these units are better than others, but they are all top-notch DPS units for one reason or another. You've got your Dalsims, who will do absolutely great in stages, good against bosses and things like that. Same goes for Fashion Blanca. Then you've got units like Vega. Vega is S tier in a lot of regards because of his speed. I mean, the issue I've got is if I'm going to have him up here for speed, then you have got that with these boys. I believe it's this one here that is the fastest. But I'll leave him up there anyway, right? You've also got Akuma. Akuma is great for everything, right? Akuma is great for bossing, he's great for PvP, he's great for stages. He's absolutely fantastic. Same thing goes for Ken. Great extra damage. Free damage is the way I see it. Fantastic trigger unit. Evil Ryu, again, great for stages, great for PvP, being a bison killer. So, all in, I'm happy having these units as they are, okay? Now, I need to very quickly add a little bit of text because I just realised I have forgotten something. So you can see here I've put ×2. I would rank Crimson Viper in the same bracket as Standard Viper, okay? So you can see here ×2, both Vipers, okay? Both Vipers I'm quite happy to put in the S tier, right? Let's just call it what it is. I've forgot a picture. That's what we're going to do. So both Vipers are going in the S tier, okay? So now, so that this doesn't completely break our entire ranking system, okay? This guy, Flameadon, he cannot go on this tier list, okay? He cannot go on this tier list. He goes up here into his own category, and that category we are going to call broken, okay? He is broken. He is just in a league of his own. To be honest, I'm not overselling this unit. He is just doing damage so much more than these other units, which would mean whatever tier I put him on, no one comes close to him, okay? For the amount of raw damage they can put out, no one comes close to him. So he cannot go on the S tier simply because that would mean he would be the only unit on that S tier. So he is in his own category, broken, at the top. We'll keep him off the list. He is the single best DPS unit in the game. Fight me all you want, I don't care. He is the best DPS unit in the game. No one comes close to him, okay? So, talking about units now who we can actually rank and who we can actually put on to this list. Who should we start with? Let's start with this unit here. Jonin, or Jonin, Joki, Ninja, whatever, Ibuki. Where would I put Ibuki? Ibuki, when you have a good run, could be here. Ibuki, when you have an okay run, could be here. Ibuki, when you have a bad run, can quite easily be here. She is very RNG dependent, okay? Very RNG dependent. So if I had to take an average of the three, I would put her in A tier. Do I think she deserves to be in A tier? Yes and no. Yes, because she can get that good run and she can perform well. So for that reason, I will put her in the A tier. Do I think it's a unit that you should be upset if you didn't buy? No, not at all. So be happy about that. While we're on the topic of legends, we will also look at the newest unit that has just been added to the legendary pool, and that is Elena. Now, to be completely honest, Elena is a funny one, okay? I'm only putting her here to resize this box, okay? Now, Elena, again, is quite RNG dependent. On a great run, she could be here. On a not so great run, she could be here. To be honest, she is not too dissimilar to Ibuki when it comes to damage and things like that. So, I feel like her going there, actually, is probably merited. It is probably merited. It's somewhere that she can quite easily go and fit quite well. So to be honest, I feel quite comfortable just putting her on to the A tier, okay? Again, if you want to buy her, go ahead and buy her. But you've got all these other options above her, many of which are free. To be honest, you're not missing anything by not having her, okay? Next up, we are going to talk about an easy S tier all day long. It's going to be Oni. Oni is simply fantastic, okay? Oni is a great unit. He is going to do the numbers for you. He is going to perform. He'll do well against bosses if you keep him alive. He will do well in PvP. He will do well in stages, especially if you do invest into his soul power, which is something that I fully recommend doing. Oni is an absolutely top tier unit, and if you have not got a DPS who you are sold on, then I do think Oni is definitely a unit that is worth your consideration. Now, I am actually not just being ignorant and looking at my phone. I've just realised that there is a unit who I have forgotten to take a screenshot for, which I am going to do while I am talking. But yeah, Oni is someone who honestly I think fully deserves to have his place in the S tier, and the unit that I have forgot to take a picture of is Trendy Akuma. So you know what, I'll pause the video and we'll talk about Trendy Akuma. So let's talk about Trendy Akuma then, since I just newly got his screenshot taken. So Trendy Akuma, where would I put him? Honestly, I would put him in the same tier as Oni. Okay. Do I think he's as good as Oni? No, I don't. But I actually don't think he is worse than Oni, if that makes sense. I don't think he's as good as Oni, but I don't really think I would call him worse than Oni. That probably makes no sense, but hopefully I can explain. He does fantastic damage. He has a trigger skill that in itself can do a lot of damage. He also has the benefit of giving you gauge if you decide to use his C2. Now, we're strictly speaking not talking about units for their support functions, and I would class gaining gauge as a bit of a support function. So for that reason, I don't really think we should take that into consideration, but even just for his damage alone, I think that Trendy Akuma deserves to have the S rank slot, no problem at all. He fits in there, no issues with him. Honestly, I think he's a very solid unit, I think he's a very good unit, and if I had to basically tell you to prioritise these units in any way, shape or form with regards to special summons, I can do that right now. I would basically say, in my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, you don't have to take it as gospel, I would probably say the way that that first four are lined up seems like a good way to go. Okay, now Evil Ryu works in the function of being a bit of a support unit as well as potentially being a DPS. The fact that he can kill Bison and stuff like that, it's a hard one. I mean, if you're looking at a pure DPS function, you would maybe put him below Akuma, but if you were looking at it from a support function, then you would definitely put him above Akuma, right? But either way, these two guys I think should be top of the priority tree, so to speak. I'm going to move this one as well, because the next two units, I'm not saying they're both going to go on S tier, but the next two units are DPS units, so we should maybe take a look at where they would potentially slot in. Okay, so moving on now. If we look at these two units here, I'm going to go with Cammy and Vega, right? Because I was quite hot for Cammy and Vega starting out, but I've really cooled on them. And for me, I once said that they would orbit around about the same place as Ken. I don't think that's true, to be honest. Certain parts of the function, like their trigger, I think Cammy's skills are better than Vega's skills, because I like her armor break and things like that. But the thing is, you can't really use Cammy as a trigger until you've used the super attack at least once. And I found myself, when I use these guys, I use them in slot 4, which means Cammy never comes into play. It's always Vega, which bugs me, and I feel like I'm missing out because of that. And if I'm being honest, I would probably put the unit in A. Again, that one is maybe going to be a little bit controversial, but I do think the unit has maybe been a bit overhyped by even me. I don't think the unit is as good as I originally thought. If you're going to run the unit on your team and you're willing to sacrifice your super to change to Cammy, then yeah, maybe they're alright, but I don't think they're fantastic. That's just my opinion, right? This one, I actually do think he goes here. I do. I know a lot of people don't actually like Trendy Guile. I do. I use him quite a lot actually, and to be honest, I like him more than normal Guile, but I would not move normal Guile from being here. It's not something that I would do. Many reasons for that. One, Guile is easy to get free, whereas this Guile is not so easy to get free. I just think he does a lot. He's fast. His damage is good. His AoE works. What's not to like? I would leave the priority like this, mind you. Like when it comes to these special summons, the way that these are lined up at the start, that would probably be the order that I would summon if I was summoning for a DPS specifically. Again, this guy, because of, you might kind of want to use him as a support kind of unit, more than just a pure DPS, because he's not a pure DPS, whereas I think these other guys are more or less pure DPS, although some people would argue that Akuma isn't, right? But for me, I think as it stands right now, unless I've missed anyone, which I don't think I have, Pharaoh, I mean technically Pharaoh Sagat, but like, where do you even put him? Like, what is he? Is he a support unit? Is he a DPS? Is he a pile of shite? He's not even going on this list, right? He's not going on any of the lists. I am not ranking Pharaoh Sagat because honestly, what is he? Is he a tank? Is he a DPS? Is he a support? I've got no idea. He doesn't do anything, so I don't know what list he would fit in. So we'll just imagine he doesn't exist, right? And we will not put him onto this list. I actually realise now that I may have missed out one other unit who, if I reveal under here, I have actually got the rest of the tier list hidden away, and I think, technically speaking, she's classed as a DPS, and I would quite happily put her here, honestly. I mean, as a DPS unit, she sucks. I think she's a unit we got baited on. I do not think she is a great unit at all. I honestly don't. I do not think she's a good unit. I mean, another unit that maybe should be on this list, again, I'm not quite sure where he fits, would be Balrog. I mean, Balrog's not Pharaoh Sagat levels of bad, but Balrog is not a good unit. I did tell people not to go for him. I don't think he's strong enough to be classed as a tank, but I don't think he's good enough to be classed as a DPS. Where do you put him? I don't know. I'll probably just put him on the tank tier list. And he's going to go pretty low, right? But apart from that, I feel pretty satisfied with this. There really isn't much that I would change on this, to be completely honest. Now, maybe in the A rank, happy. Up here, yep. He's dropped off a wee bit, but only because of him. It's not that he's actually dropped off, he's just so much better that where you would have probably used him with like Flame Chun and stuff, you're using your Flame Chun on his teams now, so you're not seeing the same kind of performance from Dhalsim. But once we get another Flame supporter, Dhalsim will just pop off again. Both of the Vipers being up here, I'm happy with that. Yep. I mean, Vega, honestly, I could probably actually put Vega in A tier, because Vega is really just up here for his speed. I'm going to do it. I'm going to put Vega down to A tier. If we're talking about speed, then he is in the S tier. If we're talking about damage, then he's not in the S tier at all, right? So we'll just leave that as it is. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, Virgil, I'm not going to move Virgil, right? But all I'm going to say is I do have Virgil at SSS +5 with soul power. I've just never been Virgil's biggest fan. I mean, he is a good unit, don't get me wrong, he's a good unit. He works in various different modes, but I'm just not crazy for him, that's all it is. But I think this probably is what I would class as the tier list. For me anyway, I would class this as the tier list for DPS characters for Street Fighter Duel. Again, nothing comes close to this guy. Honestly, nothing comes close to this guy. He is just on a completely other level. But yeah, overall I'm happy with that. So that is your tier list. And do you know what I'm just noticing? The video quality on my camera looks so much better, and if anyone is wondering, I have not bought a new camera. All I've done is I've got better lighting. It's crazy, absolutely insane to me how much difference it makes when you've got a bit of better lighting. And yeah, so random thought that I've just broken away with to tell you about my lighting. Hey, so if ever you've got bad camera quality, you're recording videos, get better lighting, and who knows, might look like you've got a new DSLR camera or something like that. Anyway, this was supposed to be a quick video and it's been 20 minutes. I'm Hayzink, I'm out, and I'll catch you on the next video, which will probably be supports, which will be healing stroke supports, so it'll be 2 in 1. Peace.